Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the show. Of course, this is comics news today. We're on Monday. This is our late show. This is our California show, which is always interesting. Welcome, guys. Happy to have you here. Do keep in mind we have all our links down below, and we would love to have you check them out, be part of them. Not least of which, of course, is our fan speak page on Facebook, as well as Dinale's Immortal Mask, which he's working on, and he'll give us information eventually. So definitely become that part of that mailing list. And of course, as always, we are live streamers, so please definitely go and hit that share button and let your family and friends and extended community know what's going on so they can come over here and join us. And all those other things that Denali talks about, some kind of bells and ringing them, and I don't know, whatever. But we appreciate you guys being here. And we're going to have ourselves some fun today. We have a guest, as you can see, and we're also going to do some news as usual. But first thing I want to do, as always, is I want to go over and say hello to the panelists. Let's go over and talk to the very lively Todd Mulrooney. How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing really good. I'm glad to be here.
Mhm.
And It's great that we got a guest. We got somebody to talk to. You know how much we love that.
Well, sure.
So, uh, and I got some big news coming pretty soon, but I can't talk about it yet. Big
Oh,
news,
teasing
huge news.
us. You're teasing us.
Yeah.
Oh, all
Mm.
right. There you go, guys. You've been teased. I hope you're all happy. I see we got Roger Heller here in the chat. We got Nixie as well. Nice. He says, "Evening, folks. TFT was a good show. You should have Claire on again. Yeah, she did a really good job. That's a star storyteller for the rest of you. But I thought she did great, and it's a good example too because, as we always say, this is fan speak, of course, and we want to have the fans on here speaking with us because we're just fans as well. And she took that challenge, came up, and did a wonderful job. Very interesting topic she brought, of course, on TFT Tinfoil Talk. We were talking about mysterious deaths, an absolutely enormous category of conversation. But coming this week on TFT, we're doing something different. What are we doing? That's right. We're doing flat Earth, baby. We're doing the flat Earth.
Oh boy.
Yes, we're going to do it, and I'm going to be a staunch defender, and Todd is going to grumble at me as usual. But it is
Mm.
what it is. Hey, little Willie Mammoth is in here as well as Eric Hawkins, and he and I are going to have a showdown. You and me, Eric. Showdown's coming, dude. Right. But of course, guys, we're also joined by George. How you doing, George?
Okay, greetings, everybody.
And what have you been up to, George? Haven't seen you in a few days. You must be busy. Of course, we know you have your Joe King is getting done here in September, and you're starting to ship it. I'm assuming
No, I was sick. I was sick for the last 7 days.
you were sick. Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah,
So you're feeling better now.
yeah. I'm about to be off the antibiotics, so I
Uh huh.
thought I'd come here and infect all of you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you thought about me. Thanks a lot, George.
I did.
Nixie
I did.
says, "Say a prayer for Gary Shipman's dad. He is hospitalized in critical condition. Well, definitely, we of course give a shout out for Gary and his father. Hopefully, he does is doing well. Stay strong, Gary. Thank you very much for mentioning that, Nick. Yeah, no, it's unfortunate, but these things happen, but hopefully everything will be all right. Of course, guys, we're also joined by the Denali Lama himself. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm here talking about new comics and comic story related things happening and working on the Immortal Mask till 3 in the morning. So it's freaking awesome.
There you go, dude. There you go. That's what I want to hear. Lots of content, lots of creators, new things coming out. And, guys, of course, we had a 1 year anniversary a couple of weeks back, and, or not even, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. And
Yeah.
we have done a lot of Indiegogos. We've talked to a lot of people, and it's really been a fun. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to support the indie revival, and it's really cool. And, of course, we are joined by one of those creators here today. How you doing, Joshua?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, dude, we're very happy to have you, and we're going to be taking a look at Joshua's project here in a minute, which is really pretty looking thing, actually. But now this is Joshua Plank, and first thing I'd like you to do, sir, because you're new here, two questions for you. One, how did you get into making comics? And two, how did you find yourself to the indie revival that's going on?
I found a little bit of success in publishing through like what would be called the traditional sense. Um, but like prose and poetry and short stories. But what I found was that the traditional publishing industry is kind of slowly dying. And so I kind of went back to the things that I grew up reading, and I just found the comics to be like such a perfect avenue for this story that I've had lodged in my brain for years. So I got down to it. I talked to some artists. We kind of kicked some ideas around, and I guess something just kind of clicked when I found M.U. Trera. He just seemed to get it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And once I saw all these different avenues for people to do this for themselves, if you self-publish in almost any other industry, it's basically a sign of failure, of not being able to attract the right kind of attention. But in comics, it just seems like the opposite. It just seems like all the good stuff is coming out of people who just had enough of traditional publishing and just kind of finding their own way. So that's what brought me here, and I love like every moment of it. Every day I'm grinding to it, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool, actually. I mean, we've seen so many amazing creators come out of the woodwork, and in a way, it's this ironic thing to say. We're kind of lucky that this has happened, because a lot of people who would have never got opportunities are getting them, because cream rises to the top, and good quality things will come out. And it's interesting you mentioned about the publication or printing world is slowly dying. It's not something that I notice very much from my side of things, because when I do publishing, I have like a built-in automatic money base, right? Because it goes out to all the universities and all the scientists and professors and stuff automatically. So I guess I live a privileged life. Of course, we never
Well,
sell.
so for comparison's sake, I've talked to like some different. I've gone into bookstores and talked about like getting some kind of vendor deal going on.
Hmm.
And I talked to like a traditional bookstore owner, and he told me that he pointed to a book and he said, "This is the most publicized book I've seen in about 5 years, and it's sold 10 copies here." And like that's like a big number for him. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just I just thought it was kind of interesting, because in the academic world, you never sell many anyway. But what you do sell
Yeah.
is automatically sold. It's like this
Yeah.
safety net. You know what I mean? And so I don't really have any clue what the rest of you guys have to go through, is what I'm trying to say. I'm privileged.
Well, I actually have a
they-
line. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I would
he
say
just-
actually have a lot of lines into that academic world, and for comics, you would be shocked to see how, I guess the word would be, incestuous it is. Where you have,
Oh, yes, it is.
if you have like a comic studies professor, they are going to, they're basically probing for access to people in the industry, and then making all of their students buy those books. So
Oh, yeah.
if you ever want to know like why, I won't drop any names, why so and so is like still getting work, that's probably why.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. We've noticed that it just in comics as well, just directly with the big two and stuff like that. But it's an interesting thing. And Nick is quoting me again. I'm privileged, Chester 2019. Thank you, Nick. I do love how you always
no
take
kidding.
me.
You got any more resume things we don't know about? I
What are you
mean, here's what I
talking
think of
about,
that.
dude?
Here's what I
Resume
think of that.
stuff. Okay, yeah, you putting your emojis up, and yeah, okay. He doesn't like it if I speak about anything academic whatsoever. Dare I even mention history, even a little bit? And Todd's got something to say about it. Thanks a lot, Todd. Glad to have
Well,
you
this
here,
will be an
man.
entertaining
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. The great battle, yes. But anyway, all right. So let's start talking about your. Well, first of all, any you guys have any questions for Joshua before I jump over to the Indiegogo?
No, let's take a look at it.
All right, rock
Yeah.
on. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. Now it's you can follow along really easily here, Joshua, if you just click on on me, just white box me, and you'll be able to see what I'm going to be showing the guys here. So all right, let me come on over. Now we have a very interesting title here, Eudaimonia. Which is Greek, I believe, and you're going to explain to us why you chose that, and just tell us a little bit about the project, dude.
Oh boy, it's gonna be a long answer. So Eudaimonia, obviously, I'm a big proponent of people building themselves up. I was homeless at 16, so it was like a long journey from sleeping in a laundromat to getting off to school. So when I actually went to school, I obviously took to a lot of like Stoicism and anything that was basically built around the idea of, forging your own future. So when I studied philosophy, I was drawn to the idea of eudaimonia and the idea that we have to kind of forge our own meaning out of the pain of life. And so what eudaimonia is it's 4 stories that are kind of disparate from one another. They all revolve around World War I, but each story has these kind of interlocking moments that kind of create a circular narrative. And so it's basically about people, their experiences with the war, their trauma, their pain, and how they're building their own eudaimonia.
I see. And I'm just kind of going through the art up the top here. I'm going to scroll down and look at the rest of the stuff as well. And I will come back and check out the trailer here in a moment. But I have to say, just off the top of, we have the overview here is Eudaimonia is a graphic mini series about World War I, featuring a series of seemingly disparate characters whose experience with and overcoming the effects of the tragic war form an interlocking narrative, part historical drama, part classical philosophy, and supported by the amazing art of Emi Utrera, maybe. Eudaimonia will be a book like no other. My name is JP Plack, and I am launching Eudaimonia Part 1 of a 3-part miniseries. Now, as I come down here and start showing the art off, how many pages are we looking at here?
First story is 30 pages. The first unlock is for the Harlem Hellfighter, a second story, which brings it up to 40. And then we have all kinds of promos and drafts and different things that kind of throw in for unlockable content, which would bring it up to 50. Or 56. I might say 50 in there, but it's going to be 56.
Yeah, it does say 1909 to 1959 is what it says, but close enough. Now, there is a question from the chat here. It says, this is from Bill from Argos Creations, and he says, do we get some Hermann Hesse allusions in the story?
That is a name I'm not familiar with. I might need help with that.
I'm sure it's some Nazi name or something like that, knowing Bill. It's probably, yeah. He's
if it's Nazi, it's the wrong war.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, this story was definitely influenced by All Quiet on the Western Front, like Beowulf.
Oh, yeah, no, that's cool.
Hermann Hesse, he's talking about, I believe, the German painter or novelist. He did Steppenwolf, the Glass Bead game, self-knowledge, spirituality, authenticity, 1946.
Bill was being actually intellectual for a moment. Sweet Bill, that is awesome, dude. Okay, then now you know the question.
No. The things that influenced this book would be the kind of things that were burned after the Russian Revolution. More of the things like Eric Remarque and Siegfried Sassoon, Wilfred Owen.
All right.
Mary Borden. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
No, we're just waiting. It's a pause and go kind of.
It is. Yeah, we're pretty good at it though. Just anytime we want to interject or say something, you go right ahead and we'll react properly. But Todd, I'm going through this art here, which is nice because we do have some dialogue to read as well on the page, guys. And if I could have one of my moderators put this Indiegogo page up there, please, so people can go check it out. But Todd, I'd like to know, and George as well, I'd like to know your guys' opinion on the art. I'm liking it, dude. I'm digging on it. George?
It's okay.
Thanks, George. That was exciting and interesting. Todd. Did I lose Todd? Maybe we did.
Yeah, you did lose Todd.
What do you think, Dinale? I like it, dude. I think it's really interesting art. And it's a style I know I've seen before, but I can't place the name of the artist that's coming to my head. But I think it's interesting.
Maybe it's not so much the style, but the color that's bring more recognitions, because there is colors evoking emotions for it. Does each story that you're doing, is there a primary color that you decided on or your artist decided on?
So one of the one of the things we talked about as far as, because we put a lot of thought into color, is that
Mhm.
when you see a page that has a lot of primary colors, that is going to be something painful, something extremely negative. And then if you see a page that is secondary, it's the opposite. That's the piece. That's the Eudaimonia itself.
Mhm.
So that's one of the color themes we kind of ran with.
Who did your colors, by the way?
Oh, Emmy did everything.
Oh, sweet.
I wrote this, and I basically did the writing and the page layout, and then he did everything. So what I tell people is, if this book doesn't set the world on fire, I'm totally okay with that. But
Mhm.
my main goal is to get more people looking at his art.
Yeah, no, it is really good. I like it a lot. And of course, Todd and George are our resident comic book illustrators, which is why I asked them. And both of those guys actually do the whole kit and caboodle themselves as well. They do the pencils, the inks, as well as coloring. So it is pretty cool. I like the look of it. And the narration we have here is very much storybook like. Instead of comic book like, which is interesting. Why did you decide to go that route instead of having like kind of the classic, word bubbles and just dialogue that's typical to a comic book?
So I think in the entire first book, there are 2 pieces of dialogue.
Hmm.
The entire story is told through third-person narrative verse.
Right.
Like Canterbury Tales or Beowulf.
Sure.
And the reason for that is when I went back and I read a lot of the things that were written by the actual soldiers that fought in the trenches, a lot of good poetry came out of World War One, and a lot of it came from some really severely damaged people. And even though this was at a time historically when poetry was becoming all modern and weird, all of these guys were writing in this traditional verse. Like they were all writing like sonnets and, using regular meter. And so when I got to writing this, I thought I don't want to speak for them, but I can't think of a better tribute for the guys who actually lost their youth and were damaged beyond any recognition than to write in the way that they themselves wrote when they wrote about this.
Cool. Well, it's really interesting and very well thought out what you've done here. You're taking a very direct and very specific approach to the style of book you're putting together here. And now you said this one is a 40 pager, but it's one of how many are you planning in this series?
3 issues total, 4 stories, but one of them is going to be one of the mini stories kind of added on here. It's called The Harlem Hellfighter, and it's about which I understand is there's already a Harlem Hellfighters book, but this is just the Harlem Hellfighter. It's about the experiences of an African American soldier who African Americans kind of got a raw deal during World War One, especially. So,
World War
that
One, not World War Two.
Well, I mean, you could pretty much pick any time, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
no.
World War One, it was kind of messed up because they were able to go over there, but they were basically seen as being unfit for combat. So they got to
Right.
go and they got to put their lives at risk, but they weren't able to do anything other than, dig and clean up crap.
Right. No, World War One, the black soldiers were quite minimal, and they were not put on the line. But then World War Two, of course, with the various generals at the time, they changed that and they segregated. They ended this segregation and brought the military together as one. So
Yeah,
it is kind of interesting in World War Two how different it was because
yeah,
they integrated the military completely during that war. Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. I think when you study history or you study literature, you have a tendency to kind of fall into what you find these little pockets, times, or subjects that they're kind of like your pet areas of expertise. And for me, when I did that, it's just kind of interesting. The 2 that I was most drawn to was for literature and history was World War One and the Harlem Renaissance. And it's interesting because they were basically happening at the exact same time, but they were almost like just completely disconnected from one another.
Mhm.
So if I can put them together in writing, that's big for me.
Yeah, sure. No, that is cool. And this character here on the cover, which looks like a cover, she's sitting there playing a cello. She looks, I don't know if this is intentional, but she looks quite Asian, actually. She's purple too.
No, but now that I never thought about that, but I kind of see it now. Yeah, she's let's see here. So the third story, she is the protagonist of, and she's just appearing here because she's integral to this story as well.
Hmm.
And basically, what I told Emmy when we were designing the cover was, I want a girl playing the cello in, like kind of swarthy 20s French kind of clothing, and then I want it to be on the fields of World War One, and I want you to draw the sublime coming out of her cello.
Okay.
And that's all the instruction I gave him, and that's what he came back with.
It's interesting. That is interesting. But it is a really cool piece, though. It's a nice piece of art.
Yeah.
It's very stylistic, but yet beautiful at the same time. All right.
And it absolutely embodies the theme because it looks very childlike at the top, and then the deeper you get into it, the more horrible it is, which I think is a pretty good representation of World War One.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, that was a pretty ugly one. People usually talk about World War II. It tends to dominate that type of arena of conversation or entertainment, even. But yeah, that's very true. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to the top and I'm going to take a look at your trailer. So, first question I have for everyone is, am I going to like your trailer?
I am not going to lie. I don't think so, because this is the first video editing I've ever done in my life, and I was kind of hoping that the art would just speak for itself.
I see. He's warning me, Dinale.
Yeah, no, it's like Windows movie maker.
Right.
Well, that's not the problem.
You don't. Do you? He's asking. Do you actually tell the story? Have, like you said, have the art speak for itself, or do you do a 2-minute? Hey, I'm this guy. I've been a comic book fan all my life, and now I have an opportunity to kind of share this story. No,
it's just images and music.
That's a plus already. That's a plus already.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, I can still do that if you want.
No, please.
No. That's a negative.
Yeah,
because a lot definitely. Of the reason why we bring this up is a lot of people don't actually, for comic books, don't actually look at the trailer at the beginning. They look at the trailer afterwards.
Yeah.
And each time they do put it, when they start hearing this narration that, hey, I've been a comic book friend all my life and all that stuff, people kind of turn off with it. So we kind of try to warn our people who guest stars here. We're promoting and we're helping out. One of the things we see in comics is like, don't do that for those trailers if you're going to put a trailer at the beginning, because it kind of makes people tune out from your project and not even look at the rest of their project.
Now I'm really nervous because I did a trailer that's more like that, but I can't remember which one I currently have on the page. So this is going to be this is a gamble.
Well, it's all right. We're here to help.
Yeah.
That's our point.
Yeah.
We want to help you be successful as you can. And we do have a couple comments from the chat. And Nighthawk, we know about Gary's father's situation. And, of course, our support and prayers and all that, of course, are going out to him. And I'll make sure I go over and say something to him after the show for sure. But Bullet says, very Umbrella Academy. It's interesting. And Eric Hawkins says, reminds me a little bit of Gabriel Ba, too. Interesting. All right. Well, I'm going to click it. I'm clicking it, guys. So here it goes. All right. I like the music. We got a little bit of swing going on here. All right. Got a soldier. One of your stories. You have 4, you said, right?
Yep. That guy in white could be the devil, or he could be God.
He could be. Yeah. All right. I do like the art. Oh, here's a page we haven't seen and a new piece of art. So the cello player is somehow has power, or is
Well,
this imaginary?
what's the difference?
Okay. All right.
So I mean, like if you're damaged, mentally, what really is the difference between something like that?
No, I get it. Now, first thing I have to say about this trailer is a couple things. One, it's not what we rail hard against in this. I've been working on this for 20 years, so that's a good thing. It's not that. And the other good thing I'd say about it is most people don't watch trailers. It's actually, it's a very smaller percentage that look at trailers because that trailer needs to be pizzazzed up like a lot, dude. You need to put words in there. You need to have a quicker exchange of art. And of course, you can break up I mean, I don't know how much art you have ready, but you can break that up with words coming up, flashing on the screen, and saying various things. You don't need dialogue from yourself. It's fine. I think the music is interesting, but you need to pizzazz that up a lot, dude.
Okay.
And I don't know what kind of skills you have on that. If you need help with those kind of things, there's plenty of us over here would help you with that. But it's certainly not the worst I've ever seen, but that does need some work. I would
Okay.
say. Yeah. And like I said, if you need some help with that, just ask, and
Okay.
we'll see if we can help make it better for you. But overall, I think this is a fun-looking project. It's an intellectual, philosophical project, which is different. We don't see a lot of that. What we usually see over here is people taking a historical approach, meaning it's like a historical documentary type of thing, or people just doing kind of the standard comic booky bang bang boom boom Michael Bay approach, which are fine. Both of them are fine. This is taking a more philosophical approach, and I don't know that we've had many of those, Dinale, have we?
No, not a lot from what we've been doing.
Yeah. So it'd be
But
interesting.
that's the beauty of indie comics. You're not
Yeah.
restrained to one genre. You're able to explore other genres as well. Because you're not tied to a lot of the convention that normal traditional publishing are tied to.
That's true, and that's a good thing. That is very interesting that we can have so many different ideas coming forward. That's what indie comics is all about. They're not stuck in that in the on model canon that a big company has for their characters, for sure. And although we do get some people who take some ventures from time to time, and Bullet suggests maybe a bit of gunfire, some bombs going off, and flashes. Yeah, sure. I'd suggest a little bit of dialogue too, just written in the page and. That piece of music you used was basically it sounded like it was 4 bars, maybe 8 bars. Probably 4 bars of music is just repeating over and over. And I'm assuming you cut that out of the free YouTube music or something like that.
It's the I think it's like the first 6 seconds of a Ben Folds 5 song. I just looped it.
I see. I'd probably
And then I put
have
a rainstorm over it.
Yeah, that's fine. I think somewhere like toward the middle or something, I'd probably go for 8 to 10 seconds of the song. Um,
Okay.
but anyway, we can have that's a different conversation for a later time. I give Chester a hard time, Eric says, but I agree with a lot of what he says. He is very insightful. Well, thank you. You said something nice about me, Eric. Are pigs flying? Is the world coming to an end? Goodness. Bullet says, "Yeah, I like the tone and color of it too. It's not overdone. No, I think it's beautiful, dude. This is a nice looking project. It's stylistic, but at the same time, it's weird because you're talking about some pretty dark philosophical concepts and emotions here, but it actually is quite warm. I feel the art and the colors are very warm, actually. Even this scene where we're getting people shot, or the one up here where you were talking about the dynamics of it coming from a childlike scene down into an apocalyptic scene of death, it's still warm. Now I hear Todd breathing, so he must be back. So Todd, what do you think about the art, dude?
Oh, I like it. I like the. It's all one person, right?
Yeah.
Or
I'm
no?
sorry?
It's all one artist.
Yes.
Okay, because I see a little bit of almost like he took a different approach with one thing, which I like that. I mean, there's 4 different stories, and they tell 4 different visuals, and I think that's pretty cool. That shows some versatility. But I might be just seeing things that aren't really there, but it almost looks like there's a different approach
No, I think you're right.
to yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, for you, if you don't mind, if you double your backers, you'll be, let's just say you hit it. Let's say you hit this flexible goal of 1,500, right? That'll be say it's 60 people will get you there. Now, printing 60 books, obviously that's not what you're gonna do. You probably want to do this at local conventions, yada yada yada. But $1,500, you must be willing to do this and take a loss, is what I'm guessing. And this is not really, you're doing this, you're gonna do it no matter what. And my motivation isn't all about the money of this from this flexible goal, I'm guessing. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
You're definitely you're correct. This book is absolutely happening no matter what. Um, the only thing is it's a matter of how much content is going to be in that book. So, for the people who are backing, their continued support is going to be getting more as far as like product quality, how many pages, how much content there is in the book, whether they're going to get signatures, whether they're going to get some original artwork, or sorry, not original artwork, original work. But yeah, no, this book is absolutely happening.
Yeah, no, Flexible Gold tells us that, and that's cool. You do get a couple of
No,
comments
I mean it's
here.
a good question because I'm still learning, so that would be a good question for a first time creator, which I am.
Well, here's what I key in on when I see that. I go, okay, what did he like? I know what my rate is. I don't know what your artist rate is, but he must be paid up front. You picked him because he was versatile or whatever. You picked him. He did the project. He must have already been paid. Am I guessing right? Okay.
Yep.
All
Yeah, you need to speak into your mic a little bit more, Todd. You're a bit low. But let me see
Because you
here.
said you could hear me breathing.
Yes, well, you breathe extremely loudly. Everybody knows that. Let's see here. Let's see what
Talk
the.
louder, breathe quieter.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Punch harder.
Bullet says, "Yeah, I like the tone and color of it, though. It's not overdone." Bill says, "It's nice to see a book that is cerebral and not condescending, just telling a compelling story." True. Eric says, "Looks like a solid project. The cover is a cover that would grab my attention if it was on the shelf." I agree with that. Yeah, I did cover two. Bullet says the colorist knows their colors. The blend of pink, blue, and purple is I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, it is beautiful art. I like it. I'm usually a person who really prefers very realistic art. I'm kind of that guy, but I'm digging on this quite a bit. All right, guys. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over and we're going to take a look at the few news stories we have for today, and we'll come back at the end of the show, look at the project again, take a look at his perks, and we'll end the show that way as we usually do. So, Joshua, definitely give us your opinions on the various news things we're about to hit, and don't hold back. Don't worry about offending Todd. You can do that all you like. All right, so here we go. First one. Oh no, say it isn't so, Dinale.
Yeah, IDW cancels Maryland Manors, and the other Black Crown titles.
Oh no.
So apparently IDW, since we all know, are cleaning up, auditing, and maybe looking themselves more respectable and making money, are kind of cutting for these types of books and the types of work that Madge is doing.
Well, wait a minute. I have some information to add here.
Okay.
On this, because
okay,
there is a very successful book in that line, and that's obviously Stray Bullets. But if you look at the whole of IDW, it's broken up into, they have a segment called Top Shelf, this and the other. It's all broken up, and it's hemorrhaging cash like you wouldn't believe. So you're right.
The IDW's
They're
losing a lot of money.
barely afloat. Yeah, they're barely afloat. So this is more of an attempt to they're trying to squeeze everything into one again because they're going up for sale, I believe.
Maybe that has been something that's coming along with that, and but yeah, Stray Bullets is a little bit older story series, and it is a good one, but it does fall under this imprint, I suppose. But the thing with Mags de Visaggio is a lot of people like to kind of key in on the transsexual thing, which I don't think is the point. That's maybe more of a conversation, a sad thing, if we want to get into that conversation. But the real problem with Visaggio is the talent. There's just not good writing, and I'm really surprised that it's gone as long as it has. And particularly, we talk about IDW and the fact that Stray Bullets was pretty successful. People have respect for it. But just take a look at this little blurb here. I don't even care who's speaking here, but just look at what's said. Where were you in '81 when the White House goes dark for 17 days in August? The president's spoiled daughter and her best friend Abe, who claims to be possessed by the spirit of Abraham Lincoln, a rager at a 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, unearthed long dead historical figures and government secrets that are better off buried. Sex, drugs, rock and roll seances, and secret passageways lead to time-bending mystical romps where past and present collide. But at what cost to Marilyn Keller? The world at large, the music television. Now, I gave that way too much energy and made it sound more interesting than it should, because that just doesn't sound good at all. That premise sounds horrible.
It sounds unedited.
It does. Yes. And this is kind of a problem we get on and on. And they're sitting here talking about Black Crown will evolve and continue, but you said you're going to cancel it. So what are they trying to tell me here, Dinale? Are they canceling Black Crown, or are they not?
They canceled it.
So okay, so they're
they're
just kind of
they're just being diplomatic, but they're doing a vertigo on this where they're phasing it out so there's not such a high outrage on Twitter about it.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah. But I mean, it's just the problem with these writers is they're not skilled. They're basically affirmative action hires, is what they really are, and it's unfortunate because I'm sure there's people who of the same thinking or same lifestyle who might well be very skilled. But we don't get to see them because they have these superstars of that identity politics that have kind of sucked up all the attention in the beginning of this, 3 years ago or so, when it really started hitting. And it's really unfortunate because, like Todd had mentioned, Stray Bullets is pretty good. If you haven't read that, you should go check it out, right? Anybody have an opinion?
Not beyond what I said.
Not even a little. All right.
Yeah.
So Visaggio dies in silence. Oh, well. That's too bad. Oh, no. What is this? Captain Marvel is everything. The most powerful and most important. How dare they think about somebody else? What's going on?
Right. So this is from Cosmic Book News. Disney Plus is slowly replacing Captain Marvel with Iron Man and Star Wars with Vader. So if you kind of scroll down, they would show what the lineup was when they first released it. You had this is the current lineup, but they used to have the bottom lineup when they first announced it. Now they're slowly replacing a lot of characters to more fan favorite character to kind of entice more people to buy into Disney Plus, because they're realizing, because the fourth quarter is coming, that it's gonna be a really smack in the face because they're not making profits.
Well, and they're
Disney
balking.
Plus isn't making profits.
It hasn't launched yet. It hasn't launched yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
but it's still.
I think you're reading into this article.
No.
They're just using a different visual.
No. Time out. Wait. So let me expound and then clarify on that. Basically, Disney Plus won't be making profit because they already spent over billions of dollars setting that up, and it won't be profitable for the next 5 years for that. That's already marked up. The problem is Disney corporate profits, meaning Disney proper, during the fourth quarter, which is coming up. It's going to be doing loss. So they're scrambling to raise any money.
Daily, though. I mean, daily.
Right.
Like,
yes.
Pick some good news. Jesus, get something new in here.
Well, I think this is interesting actually because if we take a
Yeah.
look here, we have Moana is on both. One is a
Mhm.
more action stance, and the other one is a more straight on a kind of pinup shot. It's interesting they go Moana. I think it could be fun. I think Lilo and Stitch might have been more fun. I'd love to see a Lilo and Stitch show come back. My kids liked that then when they were little. But Moana's fun. I think that'd be good. Then they, of course, we're seeing
Mhm.
that the Incredibles, Mr. Incredible, has been juxtaposed next to Buzz Lightyear, which Buzz is popular, but I don't know. That's an interesting choice of switching out that. I would think Buzz would be more popular than Mr. Incredible.
Right, but it's voiced by Tim Allen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's a horrible human being that dares say things that aren't right. You're right. Yeah, that's you can't have that. Maybe, and it could be that simple too. It sounds petty, but we've learned, haven't we? Then we have
Mhm.
Brie Larson and of course Iron Man, which Iron Man is always a better bet. Now, that's interesting because Brie Larson was the hot ticket there for quite a while, but there's been a lot of backtracking on her actually. Even though we're seeing Disney and in particular the MCU pushing forward with plenty of identity politics, more than we've ever seen them do actually. But Brie Larson doesn't seem to be part of it. What is she? Is it just as simple as the fan backlash against her, or is there more going on behind the scenes? You think?
There is more. You know why? Because even though the movie did okay, some of those tickets weren't really seats that were filled by bodies.
Yes, well, that is a theory, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's more. She it's like she came out and shot herself in the foot.
Mhm.
And basically what she did, she could have tried to been endearing to fans, but she mocked Chris Hemsworth and look, she's a horrible human being, and
She
that
is.
now is
Yeah.
visible.
Yeah, that's true.
I
I'm
mean,
not.
she's not horrible. I guess horrible is kind of tough.
No,
I
no,
think the
she
one that
is
you're
horrible,
over.
dude. She's a
I think
nasty
the one
thing.
you're overlooking there is the one on the far right because that bear is both biracial and appeals to the Asian market.
That's true. That is a fair point, and it's much cuter than lions, I'd say. But no, Brie Larson is a nasty little thing. But we've talked about this before, though, Todd, because Chris Evans is a stupid little cuck as well, right? He says just outrageously dumb things all the time. He's an idiot. But yet people love Chris Evans. They love Captain America. I mean, fair, right? Fair point, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, it is interesting. Of course, Iron Man is a lot more interesting anyway. Always has been. Then of course we have poor Finn, who's just been abused by the Lucasfilm. Unfortunately, I mean, in the first movie, which was Force Awakens was a fair popcorn movie, but it wasn't a great flick. It's just full of plot holes. But one of the few things I really enjoyed about the Force Awakens was Finn. I thought he was fun. I liked the character. And they
Right.
absolutely Ryan Johnson absolutely kicked him to the curb, and it was unfortunate. But of course, he's being replaced by Darth Vader. Well, that's a win. I mean, that's easy. That's
Yeah.
an easy choice, right?
I mean, they're changing out imagery. I mean, this is a little, this isn't even news. It'd
I
be like,
know, no,
oh, we
mate,
put
but
out a
it's
new
fun.
poster for a
It's
movie.
fun. We have cute pandas,
No, no,
Todd.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It's like
What's
every
wrong with the
day with
panda?
the bashing.
What's wrong
No,
with
there's
the panda?
nothing wrong with the panda. These are better images. I
they
agree.
are. Yeah.
But it's like let's slam on Disney every day, every
What?
show. It's like
We're not trying to slam it.
it's not news.
It's what
I mean, it's hard because they
No,
do own everything.
They do.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
do.
They do.
they do.
Yeah.
And so it's
There's
kind of
so many good articles about great comics and things that are changing, and the tact is that we take sometimes is just a little bit much.
You
I
think?
mean, I was pretty quiet because generally, like, I I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about things I don't like. I'm generally,
Me,
if I find myself doing that, I generally try to redevote myself to looking for more things that I do like. So, you know, as into the pop culture criticism as I am, I don't spend a lot of mental energy on it. You know what I mean? I just move on.
it's
And
sort of the media too, though. By the way, because like
yeah,
yesterday we showed an article that you know the way it was written was so and so was fired from Batman, and the new. Why not just highlight the new guy? Hey, so and so was taken over
yeah.
Batman, And it's the way the articles are written. A lot of these sites, they're garbage. He isn't fired. He goes on to another book. When you still work at the same company, getting paid by the same people, that's not a fire. People change books all the time, but the article, we bring crap articles because they're written by crappy people.
Mhm.
And that's not Denali's fault.
I do
I'm not
think
trying to
you.
make
I
it
do
seem
think you're missing the point quite a lot, actually, but that's all right.
No.
Let's see here. Eric says there must be something to say about Evans because he says some stupid crap, but no one seems to care, and we still love him as Cap because Cap is good. True, it is very true. Let's see here. Now,
Cap is
I mean,
old.
Thor was in Ghostbusters.
yeah. Oh God, don't please no that you want to talk about negative press. All right, fine. Moving on. More Walt Disney for Todd. This should be great. Go ahead.
Right. Like everything, Disney is everywhere, but this is part damage control because they're talking about his legacy, about Bob Iger, how he low things to becoming the CEO, and then there was a brief blurb about again Star Wars fatigue, that they pushed too much into it, and it's basically reads like it is a piece that they paid for, basically saying this is damage control. Basically, they're warning the shareholders, they're warning everybody that don't expect a lot of returns coming in, because a lot of the numbers are coming back saying that it's not looking so good, especially with their multi-billion theme parks that are failing, that low attendance are going on both theme parks, that they're laying off staffers, that they're increasing prices all over the board, and they're cutting divisions across the board as well.
Yeah.
And they're still, transitioning Fox assets and, evaluating all that. So it's going to be a terrible fourth quarter. But the acknowledgement that there's a mismanagement of Star Wars does say a lot, even if he doesn't outright say it.
Yeah.
So that's a very important part.
This Deadline article, I think, is interesting if you're interested in Bob Iger. I get Dinale's point that he's making; it's fair, but really, it gives us some insight into what Bob Iger thinks about various topics involved in, Disney and particularly the Fox merger. But it's an interesting little article if you want to go check it out. I don't really have much opinion on it beyond that. Because Disney is in free fall right
I'm more
now.
depressed by the story at the very top.
Oh yeah.
That story at the very top above the article just depressed me to no end.
New Jack City reboot
New
in
Jack
works with
City?
Snowfall.
Come on.
Breaking news.
Breaking, yeah.
Ah,
Well, they're rebooting
they're
everything.
gonna have
dude.
iced tea and Wesley Snipes?
Yeah.
Well, they could. They're still alive.
I know, but that one's sacred.
See where
There's nothing sacred in Hollywood.
Well, you heard what
the Princess Bride is apparently sacred.
Well, no, because they were talking about rebooting that just the other day. We covered that in the news, actually.
Yep.
And we had a joke about taking all the great characters from that movie and who would they switch them with? I think Andre the Giant is now Leslie Jones. So it's awesome.
I was going to say Shaq, but yeah, that works.
No, Leslie Jones, because you have to gender swap it or you have to race swap it, right? That's the kind of the rule. But actually, the thing I saw today, which I thought was funny, there was some article up where some feminist was pushing about because I guess there's a Lord of the Rings like a TV series coming. And it's dealing with the Second Age, which is an interesting time if you ever read the Silmarillion. But she was going on and on about how Gandalf has to be female, and they were talking about who would be good females to play Gandalf. And it just made me chuckle because it's set in the Second Age, and and of course the wizards don't show up until the Third Age. So
Betty White as Gandalf.
Well, it's just stupid because there are no wizards in the Second Age. So this TV series will have no wizards at all, right? Anyway, sorry, I went too deep, Lord of the Rings nerd on you. I apologize.
No.
Have you guys seen the Dark Crystal?
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah.
I loved it, but I love like messing with my wife because I just watch it and I unironically root for the Skeksis. And I just keep saying that I'm Team Skeksis, and she's like, "No, you're not."
That's funny. Well, to be fair, my wife and I watched it, and we thought it was a great effort. But simple fact of the matter is the Skeksis were handled far better than the Gelfling were. I mean, they're just better.
And Simon Pegg was amazing.
Oh, he killed it, dude. And Mark Hamill as the scientist, it was awesome, dude.
Right.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he was awesome, dude.
Jason Isaac was the Emperor as well.
Yeah.
I just think Simon Pegg stole the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, he did a really good job. Yeah.
He was spot on with the sounding like the original voice.
Mm-hmm.
So. Well, anyway. Yeah, it is what it is. Now they're going about Wizard Rage. I don't think they got the point that I was saying that by the lore of the Silmarillion, they're basing this show in the Second Age. There are no wizards. The wizards don't show up until the Third Age of Middle Earth. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but the thing I'm afraid of is that they will ignore that.
Well, that would be pretty sacrilegious, I think.
They'll probably do an alternate timeline crossover with Harry Potter.
No, God, you people. All right, fine. I'm moving on from that because you got to trigger me real quick. Moving on. Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. #1 is booming. What do you mean Spider-Man #1? That was way back in the 60s. What is this crap? Go ahead.
Screenwriter's talking about the J.J. Abrams co-written with Henry Abrams, Spider-Man #1. We talked about that, came out recently.
We did.
Screenwriter is saying that this actually might hurt further the industry because they're starting to, a lot of collectors, speculative market is trying to collect all of these things, which will artificially hike up the prices, which they are, and make a false positive, like I want to say false positive, or a false view that there's a big demand for this book when there really isn't.
Oh, they lie all the time about that. That's true. Yeah.
So they're causing a artificial bubble to reemerge and doing the same mistake that caused them the last time when the speculative market went rampaging.
Oh my God!
How would that even happen with one issue?
It's one issue, and it's a guy who's never written comics before, who comes from the movie industry. It was expected. This is such a dumb article. There's no truth to it.
It feels like it's one of those articles that every time ends in a question mark.
Yeah.
Like, is this a problem? It's like, why did you even write this?
If Dr. Ruth wrote it, it would have the same kind of boom.
Wow.
Bubble.
Talk about showing your age.
You know what I mean?
I don't even think she's alive. I think she's been like mummified for like 2 decades, dude.
It just wouldn't matter who it is, but it's and it actually isn't that bad. I gave it a shot and read it. It's not bad,
Yeah, but it's not Spider-Man #1 though. I hate that. That's what I hate a lot, actually. But
what did you want them to number it?
Whatever the number currently is, or call it Elseworld or something like that, What If or something like that. That's what I'd prefer if they would actually stick to the actual numbering. But of course, they got to make their money because they think they can make money on it. And of course, all they're doing is just driving the industry into the ground, and no one can tell them otherwise, right? But I do think you missed the point, though, Todd, with these inane articles that we cover, because most of them are inane. And when they're not inane, you notice that I mention it, right? We are here mocking the stupidity of the idea, the stupidity of the article, the stupidity of the people. That's what we're doing. We're having fun. We're pointing out where the little kid from The Simpsons, like, ha ha. That's what we are.
There are positive articles. There are good things happening.
Yeah, and we cover those too.
Emphasize it.
Yes, and we know we do actually. But that's interesting. Todd is not happy with us today. I do apologize, guys. Let's go into an article that will certainly make him happy, which is our last article of the day. What are you saying? Bill from Argos Creation says Dr. Ruth is still having lots of sex, zombie sex. Oh, thank you very much. We don't need any more Dr. Ruth conversations. Thank you. Go ahead, Dinale.
Oh God, no.
This from Screamer. Why DC's New 52 reboot was a mistake. Quite when I posted it up, it kind of got quite the reactions about it. I think that was the whole point for this article, to lay it out flatly, to kind of get that conversation going, because there are supporters and detractor for both of this, but I can only point out, whether it's, they did do Doomsday and they do have done Rebirth in response to what happened to New 52.
That's true.
And I will just leave it at
We're
that.
we're 4 years removed from the last 52 book.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is, come on.
Well, it does spark a conversation though, Todd, because here's the thing. I didn't mind the New 52 at all. I rather enjoyed it, especially in the beginning. I'd agree that it kind of got out of control and they got wonky toward the end of it, sure. But I didn't mind it. It kind of surprised me how many people just railed so hard against the New 52. I liked it, dude. Am I wrong?
There was some good things that were there. Of course, there was, it's like there was some good and there was bad. But we're 4 years away from it, so we've decided we'll write an article about it. These guys are such bogus media.
They're not media at all.
That's the point.
Yeah, that is the point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Thank you. Superman needs underwear. He does, Eric. It's so weird to not see underwear on Superman. It feels offensive, even. Yes. Anyway, let's go back over here. Now, of course, we have Joshua Plank on here, or JP Plank, I believe is what you had told me to call you. And we're taking a look at his Indiegogo here today. Very nice bit of art. Interesting story. Something coming from a more philosophical point of view, which is kind of cool. Dinale, if you could do me a favor and put up that link again into the chat. And what we're going to do now, Joshua, is we're going to come down. We're going to take a look at your perks and let you explain what it is you're selling and what's available with them. All right. So now you do have a featured, which is something we always suggest that the indie creators do. So good on you for having that. So tell us a little bit about the featured here. A signed copy of Eudaimonia #1.
So I come from a big collector's background, not just comics, but other kind of things. And I wanted to make sure I had a lot of things in here for people who are really into the collectability of a physical object. So with the signed, we're going to be doing gold Krylon paint signatures. Those are going to be sequentially serial numbered.
Oh, nice.
$25. It is free shipping because I don't ever want a customer to not know exactly how much they're paying. That's the one I recommend.
Now, say what you said about shipping again.
Free shipping always
in America. Yeah, ships to the United States. No, you have it's right here. It's already stated.
Actually, it's funny that I forgot to do that at first, and the first person who bought it is a guy in Finland. But that one guy who got it slipped in there, I have absolutely no problem losing money on his book.
There you go. You got to be careful about that kind of stuff. Shipping is a nightmare, and it looks like it's going to become worse. But nice. You also have a digital one here, which is very good. I'm glad you took a kind of middle of the road on your pricing here. Some people make it super cheap. Other people make it the same as the book itself, and I think something in the middle is more appropriate. So good on you for doing that. So a digital version there, very nice. And then we have a non-signed version of it here. And then, of course, we come into a retailer's bundle. Now, how many books we're getting? 7, a 7-pack for your store. Nice.
Yeah, and I actually did sell one, and it didn't say it there because I was talking to a guy from Baltimore. It's where, I came out here from, and got him to buy, and I guess he didn't know what Indiegogo was, and I didn't even know that there was a donation button, but I looked, and I was like, somebody donated you $100. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
So there's one sold. He's getting 7 copies, but he just didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah, no, they do have that donation button, and I really wish that they would go to more of a Kickstarter format and have like the add-on aspect would be a lot better. And there's certain things the Kickstarter does that
Yeah,
Indiegogo needs to copy. They really, really
yeah.
need to copy.
Oh, if I'd known about it, I would have disabled it.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go. But it is nice that you have a retailer bundle there. It's of course very useful. And then of course we have for $100 we have an original work bundle. Now this is not original art bundle; it's an original work bundle. What's the difference?
So this book was handwritten by me. Every page, I
Mhm.
know where I was when I wrote it. I know. So the original work, you're getting one page, whatever your favorite page in the book was. You get to see the digital download and pick out whichever, you know, area or part of the story. If there was something you liked in particular, you get that original page, a nice certificate, where it was written, when it was written, and then nice printout of that page, like of the actual art. So you have it as like a nice companion piece for it.
That's interesting. That is different. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, we've taken a look at this project. We've seen all the perks. We've seen all the great art. Actually, we get a good feel of what's going on here. We got our four story anthology of sorts, but it's telling a very simple theme, the emotion and heartache of war, and how it relates to humans. I would say is a good way to sum it up. But great looking project. We have plenty of stuff you guys can go over to the page and check out. You can look at it yourself and see if you want to back it. And there is a digital option, so there's always that as well. And I suggest you go over and check it out, guys. And do keep in mind, even if you don't back the project, you feel like it's not something you want to back yourself, you can always be helpful by simply hitting the Facebook and Twitter links right here and sharing it out with your family and friends and your community. It's a really good way to help. Getting more eyes on it will lean more toward them having more success with it, of course. But it's a nice looking project, and it's pretty cool, dude. So let me come over to Joshua and let him get his last words in for his Indiegogo. Go ahead, dude.
All I want to say is, like I said before, I really appreciate everybody just taking the time, even if you don't back us. I appreciate the time to checking us out, checking out Emmy's art. He's a super talented guy. Um, Obviously, I would really appreciate your support. And what I will say is, this wonderful art that you see on here, it's only the beginning. There is not every page of the book, the art looks this nice. I didn't just choose, which good ones to put up here. It was actually really hard to kind of narrow down a selection for this. So if you're a fan of gorgeous art, war, history, well, not if you're a fan of war, nobody should be that. History and philosophy and kind of like the old styles of writing, the old styles of like thinking about how we live and how people can overcome the kind of pain in their life. This is a book for you. I'm not going to tell you how you can fix your life, but I can show you some good examples of people overcoming and making a better life for themselves.
Sweet. Very nice. Very different type of project here, guys. This one is certainly philosophical, but it doesn't seem to be condescending, which is good. So definitely check it out, guys. Thank you very much. Let me come back over here to the main page with us and stop sharing that. So Todd, you got any? Todd left us. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
frustrated. He was upset. Okay. Yeah, Todd was a bit angsty today. What's going on with Todd, man?
Don't know.
Yeah, I was picking on him in the
But
beginning. I guess he didn't get that was friendly love taps.
nope,
He didn't like my love taps. Oh well,
no
that's
love
okay.
taps. Yeah.
We'll have Booster go and soothe him with some of his healing essential oils. hmm so, but anyway, thank you very much for being here, Joshua. George, you got any closing comments here? No,
No.
George has nothing to say whatsoever. George once again is over there playing.
No. I got something to say.
All right, go ahead.
My latest article is on Bleeding Fool. It's comparing Comicsgate to the publishing industry.
hmm
I think if you go over and read it, it's going to be a profound read for each and every one of you. It will certainly open your eyes, expand your mind, and appreciate what has gone before and what is happening now and what will happen in the future. It is I think one of my best articles that I've written for Bleeding Fool.
Sweet. All right, guys, go check out George's article over on Bleeding Fool, and he does articles from time to time at various places. So keep an eye on out for that, guys. And of course, there are other places if you guys want to get involved, not just with Bleeding Fool. Of course, we have access to that here in this community. You also have the Inciter magazine, which is doing stuff. Pixel Trader, of course, and we have Indicom TV, which Todd has left here, but Indicom TV is doing a lot of really cool things. There's a lot of it's a very creator-based site, and you guys should definitely get over there and check that out. But other than that, thank you everybody for coming. We love you guys coming here and supporting us and giving us your opinions and such every day. Of course, prayers and warm thoughts for Gary Shipman's father, of course, and you should go give him say hello to him and give him some encouraging words, I would say. But other than that, Dinale, take us out of here.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for Comics News today. Thank you, Joshua, for appearing and talking about your book. Wish much success, and for future stories lines on that vein and all other projects. Join us, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook fan speak page. We're growing all the time. Subscribe, share, and like it, because that's engagement and it helps this channel grow, even if we're live streamers. But as always, your perception shapes your reality, so always make it a good one.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Later, guys.
Aloha.